All right, everybody. Stocks by the numbers. Welcome back. Doing a quick update here on a speculative but potential game-changing situation that was brought to you, of course, by yours truly here on this channel. And I'm looking again at the longer-term potential growth here and what could be viewed as the necessity of this company's almost 100% pure graphene. And what we're talking about is Hydrograph Clean Power Incorporated. And we have a couple of updates here on this stock. First of all, the symbol has changed. HGRAF is now the new symbol on the OTC for Hydrograph. Of course, simply HG on the Canadian Stock Exchange, but here domestically, HGRAF now. Stock, we originally looked at it here, I believe, the 7th, and you can see the stock was sitting like 10, 11 and a half cents a share, continued to climb and got all the way up to new highs, 18.6 cents. So that would have been a really nice percentage return if you happened to trade it. But of course, in my opinion, more of a long-term play. But if you did happen to flip it, congratulations, well played. So here we basically pulled back kind of to where we started right before we got a little bit of attention and had the news last time that we looked at that came into the stock back in I believe it was March and April, if we looked at it in May, right? But we had a couple of headlines come out, and the stock right now is sitting at about 9.1 cents a share, we'll call it, basically flat on the day, back to where it started. So a couple of things here. First of all, this is an OTC stock, and I'm sure everyone has either taken a shot on one of these or seen someone else take a shot on one of these. And these could be the situations where you go in for, 10, 20, 100,000 shares or whatever at 8, 12, 15 cents a share. And then if it doesn't work out, all of a sudden the stock's down at a penny, half a penny, and you're down, 90+%. So first thing I want to say, again, to reiterate, this is an OTC, over-the-counter penny stock speculative situation. This company can go out of business. The stock can literally go to zero. I need you to understand the risks involved. Now, moving forward, this is also a longer term play, because even though we do have some headlines that are potentially lining up positively for Hydrograph, we still have a little ways to go. So in my opinion, unless we do receive some big piece of news to come out over the next, couple of weeks or month or two, chances are you will be holding this for several years, if everything works out, of course. But Hydrograph, let's take a look at what's been going on. So we looked at it, right, this was the last thing. Hydrograph and Gulf Cryo begin initial steps to bring pristine graphene to the Middle East, right? And we looked also, again, to supply pristine graphene to Wolfpack. We had multiple tests actually done on the pristine graphene, and all of these studies are coming back, basically reaffirming what the company has been saying, that they may have found what could potentially become a new industry standard, in my opinion, moving forward. Because if it is more efficient and more effective and more durable, as they state, and it could be used, again, as they stated, across multiple different sectors of industry and technology and construction, right? They talk about how durable it is in cement and whatnot. So if you really think about it, this is what I mentioned last time. If this does down the road get FDA approval and they start producing it like crazy and everybody wants it and wants to use it, and of course they want to use it across all of these different sectors, we could seriously be talking about some massive growth over the next several years. But again, right now, just speculation. But as we see here, article came out June 17th. ACS Journal validates Hydrograph cement performance. Okay, we're in a journal. The findings validate the superior technical and commercial performance of Hydrograph's pristine graphene, demonstrating its effectiveness in cement with compressive strength improved by up to 70% in the early curing period and stabilizes after 28 days to a 15% increase. Tests also showed a reduction in global warming potential, a measure used in life cycle assessment to evaluate the impact of different greenhouse gases on global warming of 10 to 15%. So it's significantly more efficient and effective, and we supposedly have a lower impact of global warming, right? So we're better, and it's more green, supposedly. Cement production accounts for 8% of global CO2 emissions. Total green cement market size reached 34.9 billion, exhibiting a growth rate of 10.7% between 2024 and 2032, reaching almost 88 billion by the zip code. No, I'm just kidding. It's a typo. By 2032. So, I mean, you're talking, what are you talking? 150% growth over the next 8 years? And again, we're talking just cement production. Well, this is also the total green cement market size. But again, basically my point is, if they're tapped in for the pristine graphene, and we're talking about this kind of growth over just these 7-8 years, again, it seems like a while, right? When you look at these situations, especially with how quick our money moves today, everyone likes to trade. So looking at a situation like this, having someone potentially say, oh, maybe you should, start buying shares of this stock and, in 7 years, 10 years, it's going to pay off. I know it seems like a tremendous amount of time. But again, chances are, even if you do happen to grow a portfolio into 7 figures, all of a sudden you're worth 2-3 million. First of all, most people will probably want to get more. But more importantly, you're still going to be looking for places to park that capital and that liquidity. And I always remind people, again, you can take or leave this story, but again, when I was a licensed broker back at the firm, I was talking back in 2012, 2013, I was very, very confident with high conviction. I was telling everyone that, in my opinion, they should be buying every share of NVIDIA that they possibly could. And again, a 5, 7, 10-year hold seems extreme, but you go back now 10, 11 years to where NVIDIA was, and now you look at where it is. That's why, in my opinion, investments are significantly more impactful on your future than trades. But that's just me, that's just my opinion. But let's get back to this. Quote, the study again confirms graphene's positive effect on cement performance, as our 99.8% pure graphene is manufactured with a sustainable, repeatable process that has the lowest carbon footprint of all graphene producers. The net effect is better for the environment. So if you really think about it, again, if it's almost 100% pure, and if it's better than anything else being used, and it's, the lowest carbon footprint, how can it not be used? Right? That's the way I'm looking at this. As the global cement and concrete industry looks to lessen its carbon footprint, Hydrograph will be part of that solution. Along with the above-mentioned improvements, joint testing also showed just small amounts of Hydrographs, FGA1 and RGA1 had a significant influence, reducing total porosity and critical pore size, beneficially impacting concrete durability. Right? Technically, I mean, even if you don't know how cement works, we lay down cement, and the porosity, that's the space, that's the air, right? The tiny air bubbles, right? You look at something like a sponge, right? It's very porous. It has the holes and stuff going all through it. But cement is supposed to be compacted, right? It's supposed to be like a solid slab. And if it's less porous, then technically it would be more durable and it would have the potential to crack less. So, believe it or not, something like that could be massive, even if we're talking just in the concrete industry, in my opinion. But again, they were talking about potentially having it applicable across multiple different sectors and industries. So we don't even know how big this could potentially get if they really start being tapped by almost every single company out there to use their graphene. You understand what I'm saying? Again, it's just my opinion. I'm just speculating. The yield stress, we were here, yeah. The yield stress of fresh suspensions containing only 0.04% of FGA1 or RGA1 more than doubled as compared to the control paste ordinary Portland cement paste. More than doubled. That's a huge improvement, right? If I come along and I say, hey, listen, I got something that can make it even better, it's going to make it 10% more effective, you may crunch the numbers, look at where it might cost and what you might have to do in restructuring-wise over the next 5 to 10 years to actually implement it, and then you might come back and say, the risk, the juice isn't worth the squeeze, the risk isn't worth the reward. But if I come to you now with something just like that, but instead of saying, oh, it's 10% more efficient, I'm able to say, this is, more than 100% more efficient. This is 170% more efficient, whatever the number might be. Chances are you're going to take me more seriously, and you're going to think outside the box on your end to try to do anything you can to implement this into your business. Me personally, that's the way I'm looking at this. Quote, the study shows that our graphene, which is manufactured through our scalable and cost, energy, and CO2 efficient detonation synthesis, can be a huge benefit to the engineering and environmental performance of concrete and cement. That was from a professor, forward-looking statements. This, in my opinion, is massive. Hydrograph welcomes U.S. Senator for Kansas at its graphene production facility. Received a visit, the senior senator, state of Kansas. Senator was joined by the Manhattan Area Chamber of Commerce and hosted by Hydrograph's president and interim CEO. Our key Hydrograph employees and other key Hydrograph, employees in attendance. Yes, it lists everybody. And the inventor. The one-day visit included introductions with company employees and a tour of Hydrograph's R&D facilities and first commercial-scale production unit located in Manhattan, Kansas, which produces 99.8% pure graphene from oxygen and acetylene. Quote, we were honored to have hosted the senator at our Manhattan facility. His interest in our work here in Kansas is emblematic of graphene's economic importance. Along with our Manchester-based application development network, we're continuing to successfully prove graphene's immense value in numerous commercial applications. So, Senator, who has a history of supporting startups, discussed funding opportunities, including potential industrial and government partners available to Hydrograph, which is currently working to advance numerous application development initiatives. Quote, Hydrograph is a success story made possible through resources from KSU and the National Science Foundation. Hydrograph uses cutting-edge technology to produce quality graphene and other materials that can be used in Kansas and across the country. Okay, this is Senator of Kansas saying that about this company. In the past 12 months, Hydrograph has announced positive test results and partnerships in concrete and cement production, lubricants, biosensors, solar energy storage, EMI shielding, plastics, and more. We went over this last time, how they broke down how in each of these sectors, their pristine graphene is significantly more efficient. So this is why I say, again, I know it's going to take time. Yes, again, the visit from the senator, technically, in my opinion, that's a huge green flag. But of course, they're talking about funding, but now you have to wait for the actual funding to come in before you potentially see movement in the stock, right? We would have to wait for the FDA approval to come in before we actually start to see movement in the stock. They talk about, potential government contracts and stuff that they can hand to Hydrograph, right? Until we hear news that actually went through, you're not going to see the run up in Hydrograph stock. But again, currently, I believe the market cap right now is 18.67 million. And I want to throw this at you also. Because granted, again, this is an OTC stock, potentially long-term hold, very speculative, right? But think about this. When looking at the market cap, 18 million and change, I want you to think about this. Based on how recent IPOs and new startups have been treated on our exchanges here domestically in the States, like on the NASDAQ and the NYSE, if this was a company that came out and was listed on the NASDAQ, now, I want you to think about what the market cap would be if this was on the NASDAQ right now. Because again, I understand we have a little bit of a different situation with something like an ASTS, right? But again, that was more of like a trending story that you guys got going online, so it definitely had a heck of a lot more eyeballs on it than something like Hydrograph does. But my point is, what was ASTS when it really bottomed out before it started to take off when the news came out and the catalyst started to hit? Market cap was a couple of $100 million, right? Why? Because there was the potential there. And if everything eventually started to get rolling like it is now, you know, they completed the satellites, they're delivering their satellites, right? So now they're actually on track to reap the rewards of that potential on the horizon. So now you look at something like a hydrograph, and this is my point. If they were on the NASDAQ, it would probably be worth 10 times what it is right now, which again would be a market cap of only 180 million. So that's why, you know, I bring something like that to your attention, because in my opinion, of course, the idea of it, I think, is worth more than 18 million as a company right now. But more importantly, I think it just further highlights how much potential growth is on the horizon, right? Let's say hypothetically they get a contract for 10 million, 15 million, which is, you know, half or 70% of their market cap. What do you realistically think is going to be the reaction? Everyone's going to jump in my opinion. And they're going to run this up to, who knows, 40 cents, 80 cents off that news, off of something like that, just alone, right? That's my point. Excuse me. The stock may potentially really take off once these catalysts really start rolling in. And that's why here at 18 mil, again, in my opinion, this technically should be money that you can afford to lose, because we're talking about OTC stock. And again, it could drop to a penny and you could be down 80-90% real quick, right? Think about people who even, you know, maybe looked at it a couple of days after I made the video, and then they jumped in a week or two later, right? There were people who bought this at 12 cents, 14 cents, stock's down at 9 cents. So you're down a chunk almost instantly, just over about a month or two. And this is why, again, these stocks really, really swing. So if you're considering taking a position, I really just want you to understand the risk involved. But going off on a tangent like I always do. And yeah, we finished that article. Again, visit from Kansas Senator. The CFO transitioned to the board, and they brought up someone new here. Robert transitioning to a board advisory role. Preceding him will be Mr. Anderson. Okay, 15 years experience. I'd like to thank Bob. Yep. You know, continue to contribute at the board level as well as directly with the business on key business initiatives. Okay. So see, that's also interesting to me as well, because if he's now still remaining, if he's now on the board, and, you know, he's going to be directly contributing to the business, quote, on key business initiatives, it, you know, they might view it as now they're seeing the next step, and potentially they needed to tap Bob maybe to be the front man. Who knows? Honestly, again, I'm just speculating, right? But they needed a CFO, so they brought in Mr. Anderson. Yeah, I'm just thinking out loud. I'm just speculating, but this is an interesting move here, in my opinion. I think, again, you know, we don't know exactly what's going on, but this, I think, was deliberate, and we'll see over the next, you know, 6 to 12 months what can potentially come from this. I am confident Mr. Anderson will be able to build on our recent achievements, continue growth. Yep. Looking forward to working with him. Yep. Matt is managing director, where he has worked since July 2009. Serves as CFO for several public companies. Yep. Okay. Credentials. Chief Accounting Officer, departing the company to pursue other opportunities. Yep, thanks for coming. Okay. And now this is the most recent news that came out yesterday. Hydrograph announces 2 patent application filings for its innovative graphene application. Has announced the filing of 2 new U.S. patent applications for graphene-coated hollow glass microsphere technology. The first patent covers that, coated with pristine graphene, whilst the second focuses on that, coated with reactive graphene. These two patents represent Hydrograph's effort to innovate within large-scale application areas by offering improvements in both sustainability and performance. As a standalone product, Hydrograph's coated microspheres have already received customer attention and are effectively a drop-in solution for numerous application areas seeking lightweighting or strengthening capabilities. Right? So they already have attention and potential demand. And I like this too. It's a drop-in solution, right? Which technically means they don't really have to change or make any, big adjustments on their end. They simply just do this little replacement using this company's pristine graphene, and it's that much better, and it'd be good to go. So that's why I'm saying, in my opinion, if it really is that simple to just incorporate this pristine graphene, again, 99.8% pure, with lower emissions than the other graphene producers out there, if this is literally just a drop-in solution across all of these industries, again, I will say, I am predicting, in my opinion, that this can be absolutely massive. Please understand the risks involved. Hydrograph's technology can produce two types of graphene-coated bubbles. Yep, okay. Yeah, we know this. Glass bubbles can be used for production of lightweight, high-strength concrete. The rising demand and extensive use of this innovative technology have the potential to further increase the demand for glass microspheres, with estimates for the bare glass bubbles approaching $8 billion annually in the zip code. Another typo, 2024. But this is starting to get juicy, in my opinion. Quote, our new patent applications demonstrate our dedication to pushing the boundaries of what's possible with graphene to deliver cutting-edge, customized solutions to meet the evolving needs of our partners. This innovation opens new possibilities for lightweight, high-strength materials, significant leap in material science. Graphene coating converts the white insulated bubble into black, electrically conducting, free-flowing powder, mostly made of air and a thin glass spherical shell. So light in weight, they're able to float on water. Size of the glass shell is typically less than 100 microns thick, making Hydrograph's nanoscale graphene the ideal coating material. Ideal coating material for preserving HGMS's low-density feature. HGMS are extremely small in size, so are often mixed with resin to make lightweight composites. Because they're spherical, they can also act as lubricants and flow. Graphene's integration as a coating on bubbles can be thought of as a support material for graphene nanostructure, potentially useful as an absorption media of containments, thus showing filtration capability. Graphene-coated bubbles are a multifunctional version of the bare HGMS and Hydrograph's first standalone industrial product. Currently, Hydrograph has 11 patent applications filed in the US and globally, with 2 patents granted for its FGA1 pristine graphene. So that is the last couple of news articles that we received from Hydrograph, and of course they changed their symbol, so I wanted to do an update on that as well and mention that. But in my opinion, again, I know I said it a bunch of times, and you guys always throw out these speculative situations, and sometimes the theory is, well, they really got beaten up, so they're due for a rebound. So you guys, you want to buy low and you want to sell high. Sometimes you guys talk about a stock, again, like ASTS, right? Something that was trending online that you thought was really going to explode, and the timeline was, again, starting to get in check. So everyone was talking about it, looking at it, contemplating getting in. So, there are always these speculative situations. What's a potential short squeeze? Where's it going to go? So, we looked at a lot of companies on this channel, blue chips, speculative small caps. And, in my opinion, this is why I say, try to look at the long term, especially if you're talking about locking up funds for a while because you're doing an investment as opposed to a trade. And, I'm thinking even just recently as yesterday when we did those EV updates on stocks like Blink and ChargePoint. Now, they both may have potential over the years. However, again, in its current state, you may deal with volatility and some big drops, and it may take a while to even break even or potentially see growth. So while on both hands, they're both long-term investments realistically, in my opinion personally, I would actually feel more comfortable investing into a more speculative OTC stock like this and looking for the big news updates down the road that'll eventually hopefully drive up the price. And who knows, we might get listed on a major exchange here domestically in the States. But also, more importantly, if they're both speculative longer term plays, I may trust something like this that has the scientific data and the studies behind it, right? They're filing the patents. They already have demand. They already showcase the effectiveness of their graphene. In my opinion, it's only inevitable before funding and FDA approval comes in. They just got a visit from the senator, right? They were talking about potential government applications, industrial applications. They was talking about possible funding down the road for the company. So this is what I mean. In my opinion, as crazy as that might sound, I personally might be more confident investing into HGRAF as opposed to BLNK or CHPT. But again, that is just my opinion. But I just can't stress enough that this is an OTC stock, so please understand the risks involved. It is imperative that you understand the risks involved. RSI slowly climbing up, basically middle of the road, sitting here at about 47 and a quarter. Looks like the stock came down, was dancing around this 200-day. Looks like it keeps trying to retest it, though, and get back above it. Also, maybe potentially we can potentially say, like something like that. And we potentially have an ascending triangle setting up, and as this moving average slowly comes down, we can approach the apex and then pop back up and retest this fib of about 11 1/3, and then maybe come back up to 12.13. Very possible, because in my opinion, again, still filing patents, and I personally feel the visit from the senator was massive. So I speculate, again, speculation, but I speculate that good things are on the horizon for Hydrograph. And yeah, see what I say, a pop back up to about 11 1/3. You can see 11 cents right around this, the 50-day moving average. So we can, potentially reject or just stay flat here around the 200-day. And then when we approach the apex of that triangle we just looked at, we might see the pop up to 11 cents or so. But only time will tell. MACD looked like it was trying to cross to the downside, but actually steadily keeps rising here over the last week or so. So remaining pretty steady here. And this is why, again, the news seemed like it started to come out around here when the stock was already like 7.5, 8 cents. So that's why, it looks like they brought it down to sub 8, around 8 cents, and now it's slightly bouncing and it's hanging out at around 9. So in my opinion, again, I'm speculating, but it might be viewed as kind of quote unquote fair valued around this level. You understand what I'm saying? So not the worst valuation, not the worst price in my opinion. Again, we're talking $18.6 million market cap. That is the current market cap. Just think about that. RSI, longer term, same thing, middle of the road, sitting a touch below 45. As we see the stock drop down, broke the 50-day, and now this week, boom, we pop back up a little over 5% here this week so far, and the stock technically is sitting right now above the 50-day moving average tomorrow, Friday. Yep. So we'll see where it closes and how this weekly candle closes, but technically, technical analysis, if we do close the week out above this 50-day moving average, it should, in my opinion, be viewed as bullish, and it should really come back up. This is why I think, again, even like 11 cents, we can see the mid-Bollinger Band here as well, 11.7 cents, right? So we have a lot of action around like between like 11 and the high 11 cent range. So might be good for, what's that, like a 20% pop or something from these levels. But again, long term, we were trending downward. Now the news is starting to come in. We have the big pop. We pulled back kind of to where we were, but you can see technically we're making higher lows and higher highs. Right? So this is why, again, I know it's speculative, but in my opinion, we have potential. But again, I just want to show, look at the volume. We have light volume on this stock. Again, OTC stocks, they are not in the spotlight. so they usually don't get a lot of attention. This is also a Canadian company, right? Again, not necessarily saying anything about Canadian companies, but again, OTC stock here in the States, based off of a Canadian stock exchange listed company. Very, very light volume, very speculative. I just really want to drive these points home. Just so, I don't want you to jump into the water without looking for any rocks, so to speak. There's so many sayings, but, I'm trying to do the right thing here. So I want you to know exactly what you're getting involved in. But in my opinion, based on what we looked at last time, based on what we just looked at today, in my opinion, I like this one. But that's it. I'm going to end it there. So once again, this is Stocks by the Numbers. I want to thank you guys for stopping by. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop it down in the comments section. I'm usually very quick to reply. Thumbs up algorithm helps me get more eyes on the channel. And of course, subscribe to the channel. That is our handshake agreement. That is how you help me help you. But more importantly, moving forward, like I always say, I understand that markets are rocky, they're volatile, they are very uncertain. So I want to wish all of you success. I hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.